Hello, and welcome to the next installment of Broken Pieces. I'm here in Midlothian, Texas, and today I want to talk about why me. The reason I want to talk about why me is because if you're watching this video, you've probably already asked that question. In fact, I think why me is one of the most asked questions in the world. The most asked question in the world is the obvious one, the common greeting, how are you doing? But after that, I honestly think why me probably plays a close second. And the reason I think that is because whenever somebody has a bad day, when life gets them down, when they're facing a hurdle or trauma, we tend to go to that why me question. And it's a natural question. You're just looking for why did your life change? Like honestly, why did my life have to change? What was I doing so wrong that day? I was trying to go to work, I was trying to clean up somebody else's mistake, I was trying to provide for my family, I was trying to save face for my employer, I was trying to help a home builder get their house back on schedule, I was trying to get a family moved into their home on time. What was I doing so wrong that day that my life needed to change? I am an expert at why me. I have asked that question more than 1,000 times a day for well over 6 months. And I can tell you I finally did find an answer to the question, and I will answer it at the end of the video. So, why me? Well, the answer is because it's just natural. We want to find out, why did this have to happen to us? We didn't want it. We didn't invite it. Why did our lives change and hurt us in such drastic ways? The problem with why me, it's a very bad question. And the reason being is why me is like an anchor. It holds you to the past, to the event, to the trauma, the thing that changed your life. And there is no healing in the past. All the past can do is provide answers for you on what happened. But you cannot change the past. You can only incorporate the past into your current self. I can promise you, if you live in the past, if you get stuck with why me, you cannot heal in trauma. You can only heal through trauma. And what ends up happening then is when you ask why me, it is the source, the absolute source of where all the other negative energy comes from. Because see, when people ask questions, we demand answers for those questions. And if we don't get answers to those questions, we actually react in very negative ways. Just look at a child. When they asked if they can go do something and their parent says no, and the child's like, well, why not? And the parent's like, well, because I said so. Has there ever been a child in history that ever was like, oh, golly gee, thanks, mom and dad. I think I'll go clean my room and do my homework now? No. That because I said so answer kicks off where the child will now react in a way that is negative because they deserve to have a real answer to their question. I don't know a single adult in this world that could ever go up to their boss and ask for something and the boss is like, no, and the adult's like, well, why not? And the boss is like, well, because I said so. I don't know a single adult in this world that would accept that answer. In fact, if anything, it would hurt the relationship they would have with their employer. We demand answers to our questions. And the problem with why me is every time you ask that question, you will not get an answer to it. And you don't just ask why me once, you'll ask it over and over and over again. And every single time it'll pull you deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper because you will not get that answer. And every time you don't get that answer, you will react in a negative way. And you do this internally to yourself. And when you hit those low points in the healing cycle, which are actually could be new beginnings, that's when you're dark again and you're depressed and you're angry and you're blaming and you're punishing and you deal with the anxiety and possibly even suicide. And when you hit that low point and you start asking why me again, it will pull you further down into darkness. And that's why there's no healing in trauma. It prevents the new beginning, the new climb to healing from happening. Which is why I made this video right after the healing cycle. Because why me can prevent the healing from happening. And you've got to allow the healing to happen. The other issue with why me is that it's a silent question. You'll never hear anyone say it out loud. We just say it internally, so you just have to assume, you have to understand it's probably already happening. And because you ask it multiple times, and you never hear anybody ever say it, And every time you ask it, it pulls you deeper and deeper and deeper. You're into the dangers of why me, the poison of that question. So how do you then change that question? How do you get out of it? Well, for me, it happened about 9 months into my journey when I rolled over for the first time. You see, I was transferred from the University of Alberta Hospital to the Glenrose Hospital. And the very first thing I had to do was roll over. And the reason I had to roll over is because that's the first thing a baby does. See, rolling over builds your stomach muscles and your back muscles. And if you don't have those, you can't sit up, you can't walk, you can't do anything. So I had to build my core muscles so I could do everything else. And I honestly convinced myself I was never going to roll over again. I convinced myself I was never going to do anything again. And because of that, I fought me even trying to roll over. Because I was convinced, what's the point of even trying? It's not going to happen. Well, about 3 days of trying to roll over, I finally did and I rolled over to my left. And when I did, this weird thing happened, and in my head, I actually pictured a way I could leave the hospital provided I rolled over to my left. I was now free to leave whenever I wanted. And the hardest part of my plan was I had to take a 3-foot fall off of the hospital bed. After that, I was golden. Another thing happened though in my head, and that was, I literally said to myself, well, hold on, Spencer. You just told yourself for 9 months straight you were never going to roll over. You were never going to do anything again. And now you just rolled over. What else can you do that you haven't even tried? And what's interesting is I did not mean for this to happen, but I actually stopped asking why me that day. And I formulated a different question. And that question was, what can I do for me? And what that question did was it allowed me to pick up that anchor, because I can't get rid of the burns. They are a part of me. April 24, 2003 will be a part of my life forever. But instead of living in the past on that day, I now picked it up and I was able to move forward. And what can I do for me when I hit those low points? It allowed me to start climbing the next hill. Because now I was looking at something proactive, something positive, something forward thinking on how can I now climb that next hill. Instead of getting pulled deeper and deeper into that darkness, which was happening because I did hit a point where I wanted to die, I now stopped those thoughts completely. Because I was more focused on the next climb than it was about wallowing in my misery when I had to fall down again. And every time I climbed, I got to keep things, which made the next climb even easier and faster. What can I do for me? It is a much better question. The last time I had to use this question was when COVID hit. When COVID hit, it killed my business. I travel, I need large audiences, and those two things did not put on a pandemic. But I can tell you that in 3 days, I lost every single contract I had. And I'm the sole income provider of my family. I had no clue how I was going to provide for my family from that point forward. And I allowed myself to feel those feelings, because it's important to feel what you're feeling. But I gave myself 3 days. That's it. I only allow myself 3 days of feeling what I'm feeling. Because after that, for me, 4 days, 5 days, a week, a month is easy to occur. So I cap it at 3 days. And after 3 days, it was time to pick myself up. And I asked the question that I know is going to help me. Well, what can I do about this? I can't change COVID. It's happening right now. But what can I do about it? And I made a goal, and that was when COVID is over, I'm going to hit the ground running. And from that goal, I started to make a whole bunch of plans on how I was going to hit the ground running. And these YouTube videos is actually one of those plans. Because I wanted to stay relevant to organizations, that when COVID is over and they're hiring again, that I'd be the very first person they would think of to bring to their organizations. And guess what? Because I made all these positive plans on how I was going to get through COVID, instead of wallowing that I lost every contract and I didn't know how I was going to provide for my family, because I made all these positive plans, when COVID was over, I hit the ground running. It was such a simple solution to just change the question, why me, to what can I do for me? I can tell you I'll never ask why me again in my life. there is no good that comes from that question. I don't care what life hits me with. I will always revert to my new question. What can I do for me? So why do bad things happen to people? I promised you I'd answer that question. Well, I looked around and I wanted to find a person who had never dealt with a bad day in their entire life. So I went and looked at princes, and I found Prince Henry and Prince William, because they have everything if you think about it. When they were born, they had the entire world given to them. And yet, when they lost their mother, the Princess Diana, in that horrible car accident, I can only imagine they probably asked why me that day too. Why did they have to lose their mother for simply going out and living her life and being chased by someone who wanted to take pictures? Why did their life have to change? You see, that's the answer to why me. The answer is because you're alive. There is not a single person in this world that will never have a bad day. In fact, because we all experience bad days, and I'm saying multiple bad days throughout our entire life, there has to be a purpose to those bad days. And that purpose is that when that issue, that trauma, that event hits your life, it can make you a better person. And that is the whole point of these videos. So I can help you understand how to heal. On simple things, like changing a question, understanding the healing cycle, or why a bad day happens. When you start to understand the healing cycle and you gain these tools, it makes healing that much easier. The next video we're going to talk about is going to be anger. Because anger is the base root emotion that comes from why me. And anger is what drives you to healing or it destroys everything in your life. So until then, I hope you have a good day. And if you're not, it's okay to have a bad day. Just be cautious that you don't allow yourself to get trapped in that bad day. Until then, take care.